Hello, everyone. I have with me today the usage numbers in Gen 4 for the month of November. So, this is last month. In case you do not understand a calendar, don't worry, I've got your back. And you may find that this number one spot right here is eerily, just really eerily familiar to the Generation 3 tier list that I did. Wow, it's Mr. I set up permanent sand, dragon dance. Oh, that's right, the physical special split that occurred in Gen 4. Now your pursuit is physical. That's wonderful news. You now have a built-in 50% special defense boost because if you're a rock type in the sandstorm, you get a special defense boost. Oh, Tyranitar's a rock type. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm lying. I didn't forget. So now Tyranitar, I guess it got buffed, but it's still, relatively speaking, for the power creep, it didn't really change too much. Because as a matter of fact, it might be better in Gen 3. Because judging by these percentage numbers, it went down a little bit. But something to point out is that everybody says Jirachi is the most disgusting, toxic thing known to man. Yeah, well, look at that. Look at that. Tyranitar is way more common than that thing. But don't worry, I'll get to Jirachi in about 2 seconds. So, in case you've never stepped into the Thunderdome like me before in Gen 4, they invented this thing with Jirachi. Now, Jirachi was already a thing, but, it has Serene Grace. That was also already a thing, but they added this new. It's a super cool, huge, big brain play move. Not too many people can pull this off. I'm one of the few that can do it, but it now has access to a move called Iron Head. So, what this means is you are not going to have fun. Many Gen 3ers absolutely despise Gen 4 literally just because of this one Pokemon. I actually thought I was going to be number one. Turns out there's actually a bit of a gap between Tyranitar and Jirachi. Jirachi was like 29% usage. It was like 14 in case you aren't good at math of a gap. So basically, Ironhead Jirachi, long story short, if I click Ironhead on you, I have a 60% chance to flinch you. Oh, guess what? Jirachi also learns funny things like Thunder Wave, Body Slam, whatever. So your 60% chance somehow turns into like a 99% chance of you being unable to play the game. Now, I've done some Gen 4 battles, and I've actually been using the Calm Mind Jirachi. I tried the Ironhead one out. It's okay. I mean, I literally defeated a Heatran with it. Not to flex on y'all, but I did. But the Calm Mind one, that's more my speed. Speaking of pain and speed, and I believe Calm Minds, although mine didn't have Calm Mind, mine just had choice specs. Number 3 is Latios. This does not surprise me at all. I mean, if you guys, in case your eyes don't work and you need to schedule the nearest appointment with an optometrist in your local neighborhood, Latios is not on this thing. Latios is banned in Gen 4, so it doesn't surprise me that Latios, right? Quite literally, bro's little brother. Yeah, little brother. His twin younger sister is number 3. This doesn't make any bit of a surprise to me. It gets Trick, Choice Specs, Surf, like whatever. Like it's just a really strong dragon special attacking Pokemon. Soul Dew. What? Wait. I don't know if Soul Dew's banned actually. I don't care. The point is this thing is insanely strong. Then, and this was a bit of a surprise to me. Gyarados was number 4. I would not have expected that. I actually would have thought it'd been someone on the next tier. But no. Gyarados, the dude that's weak to sand and rocks. Once again, if you're new to the Thunderdome, Stealth Rocks is the best move in the game. It was introduced in this generation. So if you're a flying type, aka Gyarados, if you're somebody that's weak to sand, aka Gyarados, you're probably not going to have a fun time, but it is. It is. Why is it? Well, it's because of the physical special split that I talked about earlier. I don't know if I really explained what it is, but basically each individual move can either be physical or special. So Gyarados has this move called Waterfall. And it's a physical move, which complements its very high attack set. It gets Dragon Dance. That's cool. It had in Gen 3. So now it has access to a very wonderful stab. And Waterfall, it can flinch. And then number 5 is Starmie. Kind of surprised it was this high as well. It's actually even more popular in Gen 4 than 3. I guess it's because since now we have to deal with rocks and actually toxic spikes, which I have not mentioned, the necessity for a rapid spinner is at an all-time high. You know what I mean? Like if the ecosystem is introducing, newer alpha male predators, then animals that weren't so high up the food chain that can defend against those predators, well, they're going to have a better success at this game we call life. There you go. There's your biology lesson for today. And shout outs to when Starmie didn't look like Patrick Star wearing stilettos. Oh, those were the days. God bless. But now we're moving on to the next tier, and we've got some Pokemons that, in my opinion, absolutely do not surprise me whatsoever. Heatran, I didn't realize it, but subsequently, this thing was David's best friend in Gen 4. I haven't really used it too much in my OU battles, but this thing, well, first of all, it's just good in the ecosystem, Steel type being the best defensive type in the game. Well, this guy is a fire type, so that's pretty good at unaliving those dudes. You are immune to toxic spikes, which happen from time to time. You get cool moves like explosion, fire stuff, flash cannon, yada, yada, yada. But in my opinion, my favorite thing that helped me out that I was talking about a moment ago is this guy gets Magma Storm, which is pretty much fire spin on just an exuberant amount of steroids. So in other words, it's very good at unaliving. We'll get to them later, but that Pokemon right there, that pink one, the one that's really hideous, that one. You can no longer switch out. It taunts, Magma Storm, whatever. It's very good at unaliving the evolved form of Chansey. Then you have Metagross. Once again, not a surprise. Bro was a Chad in Gen 3. Technically, they got nerfed a little. No, my bad. Excuse me. They didn't get nerfed. There's just new savage animals on the block like Ironhead Jirachi. So once again, a Steel type. Look who's in the next spot. It's a Steel type. Scizor got buffed a lot from Gen 3. Scizor now has Bullet Punch. It has Superpower. Like the Physical Pursuit. I don't even know if it had Pursuit in Gen 3. If it did, you were not clicking that, I assure you. So bro has, U-turn. That's probably its best move in my opinion. You can now pivot and stuff like that. If you give bro a choice band, it causes a lot of pain, agony. Scizor being Bug and Steel. Like, to me, Bug is like one of the worst types in the game, but it's a weird dichotomy where it subsequently complements Steel so well. Like, the only weakness is fire, right? That's it. It's 4 times, but like, who cares, man? Like, it's so you would rather have like more defensive consistency and then just one little bad problem than, be like a Abomasnow who's actually somewhere on this tier list where you're weak to like 7 different things. And if you are weak to a bunch of things like Tyranitar, you better compensate with incredibly godlike stats, aka pseudo-legendary stats. And then we have a Breloom. Oh, dear God. This was the beginning of the downfall for humanity in a weird way that nobody thinks about, because bro now has Toxiceel Poison Eel. Now, I will admit on Breloom, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. That is reserved for a spot for the Gliscors that were coming into Generation 5's ecosystem with Toxiceel. Breloom's not insanely crazy defensive, so it's okay. I don't know what they were thinking when they did that with Gliscor in the next generation. Well, I haven't really played Gen 5 OU battles, so I don't really have too metaphorical sense to give you on that topic. But that's that guy. It's kind of the same thing, but well, no, it's not the same thing. I lied. It's not, because in Gen 3, bro was basically limited to Focus Punch, Sky Upper Miss if you're into that, Brick Break, and then like Hidden Power Ghost. You didn't have any grass moves. Now you have Seed Bomb. Isn't that cool? That's cool. They've introduced a bunch of cool and new fantastic moves in Generation 4, like Focus Miss. Focus Blast if you're crazy. And Breloom can actually, it has 2 stabs for real this time. It has Fighting and Grass. So that's pretty cool for you. And of course, Spore Substitute, very good at ruining people's days. Infernape is coming in at the number 10 spot, barely under 20% usage, which I think is cool because it's just an all-around good attacking dude. It's a mixed attacker, physical, special, whatever. It learns all kinds of moves. I don't think it's too much to deal with because bro is weak to... They're not a big fan of sand, rocks, spikes, toxic spikes, sometimes priority. A focus sash could stop and eliminate this thing. So and what item works pretty well with Infernape? Well, in my opinion, a very good one is the Life Orb, because you can learn so many different moves. So, Expert Belt's actually really good too. I forgot that move even existed, where you just do more damage if you click a super effective move, and Infernape gets so many super effective moves that could work as well. So that's cool. If you couldn't tell, I think a big difference between Gen 3 and 4 is in 4, offense, I think, is a lot stronger. I do. And the next spot goes to Dragonite. Dragonite went up quite a bit. Definitely one of the most buffed Pokemon for sure because of the physical special split. There is now Outrage, which actually was a move before, but it was special, so nobody ever clicked it. But now you can take advantage of Dragonite's massive attack stat. Now, what makes Dragonite really good, where it's, behind Latios, of course, the best dragon type Pokemon, is because of Salamence. Wait, oh, that's right. Salamence isn't here at all because Salamence is so strong that it's actually Uber. So remember in Gen 3 when Salamence was so good that Dragonite was basically UBL because it got its job stolen from AI, aka Salamence? Well, look at it now. Because Salamence was too good at being AI, it got fired permanently because it was causing a lot of downfall for humanity, and now Dragonite has a place in the metagame. Isn't that cool? Physical moves, Fire Punch, Earthquake, whatever. You could take advantage of the Dragon Dance, Ligma, all that good stuff. Extreme Speed, yeah. Gengar, a Pokemon that can still levitate. I believe that got changed in Gen 7. Rest in peace to that. But yeah, you don't really care much about spikes or the toxic spikes now. And Gengar is basically, in terms of power level, even though it basically got reworked from Gen 3, it's kind of at the same level, which I think is interesting because the physical special split's one of the biggest changes. I would say it is the biggest change from Gen 3 to 4. So now Gengar is no longer clicking stupid moves like Ice Punch, Fire Punch, those are physical moves. But don't worry, guys, it now gets Shadow Ball, Stab, and can take advantage of its special attack side. It gets Sludge, Miss. It doesn't miss, I lied. You can... Focus Miss. That guy definitely gets Focus Miss. I would know. I've missed a few Tyrannitars already. So that's pretty gnarly. And then you have Flygon, who I actually thought would be a little bit higher, believe it or not. Like, Flygon doesn't do any crazy things. I do not believe it actually gets Dragon Dance like Dragonites. That's a lot of dragons in one sentence. But what I like to do is just slap a Choice Scarf on this thing, and it now becomes the fastest thing known to man. And it gets U-turn, so you can pivot around with it. And it doesn't really care about... It thrives pretty well in the ecosystem set up by Tyranitar themselves, just like in Gen 3. Tyranitar was still doing it back then. But now, Flygon, immune to sand, immune to spikes, immune to toxic spikes, resisted against stealth rocks. It does not care about the rocks. So Flygon does a lot better. In Gen 3, this thing was like defensive a lot of the times. That's so disgusting. I have never seen a defensive Flygon yet in Gen 4. Yet. Don't. I'm not counting the metaphorical chickens until they hatch. Trust me. And now leading off the next tier of usage, barely under 15%, we have Azelf. This thing is very commonly seen as a lead on these teams. It will have a Focus Sash. It will have Taunt. It's going to have the Stealth Rocks. It's going to have Explosion. It's going to have a lot of funny, just interesting one-shotting moves. Grass Knot. Grass Knot's a pretty good move. I was using that on Jirachi, and those Swamperts are no longer a problem. Yeah. That's what you get, Swampert, for being a thick boy. And he gets Fire Blast, too. If you want to miss, like, 2 attacks in a row, you could do that. Then you have a Bronzong here. Bronzong's pretty good. The most success I've seen with Bronzong on my team, granted, I've kind of just been using this one set. It's working. If the wheel ain't broke, don't fix it. This thing... You give this thing a Macho Brace. You don't even know what that is, because I barely know what that is. So I'm not going to talk about what it is. But basically, it makes you slower. And you have Gyro Ball on this thing. You put Trick Room on it. Oh, my God. It's like the only thing, to my knowledge, where it's a self-sufficient Trick Room abuser where it doesn't need teammates to help it out. Because, in singles, Trick Room is not always the best. And this thing can just run over everybody because Gyro Ball can turn into like a base 150 power move because Bronzong is so slow. Then plus Stab, 225. It can do a lot of damage. I've 2-hit Starmie before. Starmie, water resist steel, if you did not know that. So just telling you, better watch out for that. And, of course, Explosion, Earthquake, stuff like that. I one time saw one that was a weird setup one. It had, like, the screens, and then I think it had gravity. I forgot what it was setting up, but you can do that too. And I don't remember what gravity does. But next is Zapdos. Zapdos is a Pokemon that seems to be, like, honestly, one of the best Pokemon of all time. I didn't really realize until I've been putting all these tier lists together where I'm like, wow, Zapdos it's just everywhere. And it's always around the same spot, too. It's like a little bit below 10 in Gens 1, 3, and 4. I haven't done Gen 2. I'm not cool enough for Gen 2 at the moment. Maybe I'll give it a shot. But yeah, Zapdos... It's fast. Does a lot of special attacking damage. It now has what does it have now? I don't think it really changed much at all from Gen 3. I think it actually technically got worse because of the stealth rocks. Bro does not have the defog yet. Well, I think it does get defog, but defog can't like get rid of entry hazards yet. Although I believe in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Platinum, the defog was used to actually get rid of a foggy area in the game. Wonderful idea. Thank you so much, Game Freak. Then you have Skarmory. I'm so glad that this thing has fallen from grace. As you can see, most of these Pokemon are pretty offensive. I wasn't joking around, people. This place is for pain and agony. Like, I really think because a lot of people hate it, if we just destroy Jirachi forever, which I don't really care too much about. Granted, I'm really bad, so my opinion doesn't matter. But I guess if we got rid of that guy, I think people would really, really like Gen 4. I think it would be almost as popular as Gen 3. Gen 4 is still somewhat popular, but Gen 3 is considerably more popular. Judging by the number of battles, by the way, on Showdown, Gen 3 has seen about triple the battles. Yeah, give or take. Anyway, Skarmory, you're still immune to, it seems like, everything. Well, you're taking Stealth Rock damage now, but you're still immune to Toxic Spikes, regular spikes, sand. It gets Roost now, if you can even believe it. So, once again, Bro actually got buffed, but everybody else got buffed a little bit more to deal with this nonsense. So, I'm cool with that. Swampert, another guy that sort of fell from grace. Actually, Skarmory and Swampert were spots number 3 and 4 on usage for Gen 3 last month as well. And look at them all the way down here where it's cold. And so they're alone and afraid out there in the world. Swampert, I think Swampert fell a lot because grass is actually like, it's not really insanely good offensively, but there's a lot more grass weapons. Whereas in Gen 3, it seems like the only way you really threaten Swampers with Hidden Power Grass, you would have to literally put a whole entire moveset dedicated to the Swamp Monster on like Tyranitar, Salamence, some random dude that shouldn't even be using it because they didn't have the weapons. Like Breloom could not really use it, but now you have Seed Bomb on this guy. You've got random moves like Rose Raid right here can get Leaf Storm. Woodhammer on Abomasnow if you're bringing your anti-meta sand team. You know, there's grass moves out there is what I'm saying. That is why Swampert has fallen, or at least that's a big reason why. and you know, Toxic Spikes also kind of make its life miserable. In case you guys haven't noticed, this tier, or actually even the tier above it, and the tier above it. Look, Heatran, Metagross, Scizor, immune to Toxic Spikes. Breloom wants Toxic Spikes. Dragonite, Gengar, Flygon, immune. Azelf, immune. Bronzong, immune. Zapdos, Skarmory, immune. Swampert is not immune. Even Rotom Wash is immune. By the way, Rotom Wash in Gen 4, if you didn't notice, it's actually an electric ghost type. It is not electric water like I kept thinking for the longest time. It doesn't have its super cool weapons like Volt Switch, but it's good enough as it is. It gets severely better when it gets that move, but it's still pretty strong. We're entering like the water type trope, if you haven't noticed. We've got a lot of them coming up next. And then we have Lucario, who I absolutely destroyed in a video. Like, I'm pretty sure like that I uploaded like just recently. It just has Swords Dance. It can even get Nasty Claw. I mean, Swords Dance, Bullet Punch, Extreme Speed, Vacuum Wave. You can do stuff like that. In terms of offensive coverage, this, I don't know who's more versatile. Either this or Infernape. Very, very good mixed attackers. Although Infernape, as you can see by the numbers, probably the one you want to use more often. But Lucario, fighting in steel, that means you are immune to the sand. You are immune to Toxic Spikes. You actually take the least amount of Stealth Rock damage in the game after Clefable, of course. Because you quad resist that. And yeah, Lucario, pretty good. Pretty good. Next up on the tiering is Rotom Heat, which, if you're observant and studious, you may have noticed that it's only 2 spots behind Rotom Wash. Well, fun fact, everybody, in Gen 4, they are all electric ghost types. They aren't like electric water, electric fire. They're all electric ghost. And according to the tiering, believe it or not, they are all OU except Rotom. The base form Rotom, it's UU. The rest of them, they are OU, which I don't agree with because all I'm seeing really is just these two. What's the difference? The only difference is Overheat versus Hydro Miss. Take your pick. Up next is Empoleon. You guys may have seen me use this dude. You just have the one that I used was Lead, Focus Sash. It has Stealth Rocks. Empoleon was pretty good in Gen 4. You slap a Hydro Miss on it. Not my favorite, but with that Torrent Boost, Special Attack, whatchamacallit, it does a lot. You can have Aqua Jet. Grass Knot, this guy gets Grass Knot. This dude can ruin Swampert. It's actually kind of funny. Suicune fell a little bit, I guess. I actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ran into a Suicune yet. There's just a lot of... Like, it was already kind of pressured by Sand and Spikes in Gen 3. Now you got Stealth Rocks on top of that. So that's probably what's kind of holding it back. To my knowledge, it basically gets the same exact moves. Kingdra, I feel like it got slightly better just because, you know, the rain in Gen 4 can punish a lot more sand stuff than in Gen 3, if that makes sense. And then you have... You have the new Blissey. This one is different. It still causes a lot of pain and agony. It's still a normal type Pokemon. It still looks like it's happy and wants to be your friend. And it's still pink. But it is a little bit different. The main thing... Man, Game Freak opened the floodgates with this one. They gave it Magic Guard. If you do not know what that is, it means that if you go for any attack on the Pokemon and it's not like an actual attack like Flamethrower, Thunder Punch, something like that, it doesn't take any damage. So in other words, Sand, Stealth Rocks, Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Leech Seed, Toxic, Burn, Willow Mist, all those things, they do 0 damage to Clefable, which is really funny because I didn't know this. The tiering is very strange in Gen 4. I don't really understand it. I guess it's sort of outdated, but they don't really keep up to date with it like they do in Gen 3. But this thing is considered OU by technicality. That is literally how it's worded in Pokemon Showdown. But this thing was allowed in UU. If you guys didn't know, I actually played Gen 4 UU before OU, and I was using Clefable because I just intuitively recognized, like, this seems like a pretty good Pokemon. Now I'm discovering that it's basically OU by technicality. Why would you not use this thing in UU? Are you crazy? Those dudes, I was basically cheating. Like, I can't believe this thing is allowed to be used in UU. Unless, I don't know, they changed it. But at the time, I have it. It's in the playlist. I was using it in UU. I think you can still do it if UU showed up in the ROA Spotlight. Busted Pokemon. I thought it was the best one in the entire tier, and David was kicking butt with it. I did not forget about you, Feraligatr. Feraligator's a beast, by the way, in my opinion. In UU. Up next is Magnezone because we hate Skarmory, and then you have Roserade, who I've also done some leading with. It's okay. It kind of reminds me of like Jinx from Gen 1, I guess Gen 3 as well. You show up, you have a Focus Sash, you click Sleep Powder, you miss, and then you're sad. Especially if it's up against like a Tyranitar and they decide to be bold enough to stay in, or if they have a Lumberry, they can just kill you and then you get nothing accomplished. But Roserade is like, you would use this as a lead to put somebody to sleep, debilitate the enemy Pokemon, and set up Toxic Spikes. Then go for some Leaf Storms or what have you. I believe it also gets regular Spikes. And then you have Gliscor, which, if I recall correctly at the time of this recording, unless I'm going crazy, I'm pretty sure you cannot have Sandveil on Gliscor, which is very funny. Because even without Sandveil, in my opinion, this is very, very high. This is actually extremely impressive because it didn't have Sandveil. Poison Heal wasn't even invented yet. And look how high that this Pokemon is. Its ability is Hyper Cutter, which it would only be used for like an Intimidate Pokemon like Gyarados. There's only a few of them here. So even with its stupid, practically useless ability and not very good move pool at the time, although it was okay, but it got better later on, it's still a very strong Pokemon. It's crazy if you think about it. Gliscor, honestly, one of the best. It's in the running for one of the best of all time in singles, at least, because just look at it. This was it in its weak form. And then you have Aerodactyl. Ugh. I think, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Stealth Rocks. That's it. It's just Stealth Rocks. This thing in Gen 3 would make me very, very mad all the time. It still does, because it's the fastest thing known to man and would just paraflinch, or not paraflinch, it would just flinch everybody. It's basically the prototype for Gen 4 Jirachi, which I don't know why nobody noticed that except me, but now we don't have to worry about that too much. I usually, when I see Aerodactyl, they don't even try shenanigans like that. They actually lead with it, and they try to taunt you and set up their own stealth rocks. That's what they do. By the way, the rock-type Pokemon in this game, along with Aerodactyl, they have access to a new move called Stone Mist. My bad. I meant Stone Edge. It has 80% accuracy. Good luck. Let's not talk about that Pokemon. Okay, so then there's Donphan, who is a rapid spinner, side by side with Fortress. Oh, with Hippowdon. These are all Pokemon that are immune to the sand. And it looks like the superior rapid spinner, according to all the cool kids on the block, it's Starmie. Now that I'm thinking about it, wait, let me look through all this. Yeah, so after Starmie, the most popular one is Donphan, all the way down here. Kind of interesting. I thought it'd be a bit of a smaller gap because, you know, it's immune to the sand, but I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on this. I don't really think I've seen Donphan that much. You have Fortress, which basically, to my knowledge, seems like it's the same exact thing from Gen 3. Maybe the most noteworthy difference is it can also learn Stealth Rocks now, and it has Gyro Ball. Gyro Ball is actually, in my opinion, a good move, especially if you're insanely slow like Fortress. It's basically a free, like, base 100 power move if you think about it. And then you have Hippowdon, who, once again, I thought the gap between this and its contemporary, aka Tyranitar, I thought it'd be much smaller. Hippowdon basically had usage of barely over 5%, whereas Tyranitar had 43%, but they're doing basically the same job. It's just weird. Like, Hippowdon can be tankier, and it has Slack Off, it has Yawn, Roar, whatever, just shenanigans like that. But, I mean, I guess that's what happens when you're, like, dude, I forgot about it myself. I was talking about Zapdos and Gliscor. What about Tyranitar? Tyranitar's literally one of the most Chad-like high testosterone Pokemon in all of singles. Like, look. This dude literally sets up sand permanently, and Tyranitar is just that much better. And I would say, in terms of typing, like, Rock and Dark, you have a lot of weaknesses, whereas this dude just has 3. But that's just how much of a Chad Tyranitar is. It also has, you know, the sand boost now for special defense, but still, that is kind of crazy. Bro sets up Stealth Rocks. They both set up Stealth Rocks. They both do consistent damage with Earthquake. I don't know. I thought the gap would be a lot smaller than that. People, I think I'm actually going crazy right now. I think I need to see a psychiatrist. Remember when I was talking about Clefable? You see all these Pokemon, like all these OU dudes like Rotom? Dude, remember when I said Clefable was OU by technicality? I lied. It's not. It's not in this list, if you can even believe it. You see these UUBL Pokemon? It's not here either. It's literally still a UU Pokemon. What is going on in this generation? Well, on that note, I'm just going to deem Clefable to be the most underrated Pokemon in Gen 4 overall. Moving on to the next tier, Celebi. Celebi is not really a big fan of all the sand and entry hazards now. It was kind of okay before with, like, the limited amount of pain that it had to deal with, but now you've got, like, Heatran, Infernape, Scizor with the U-turn. There's more bug and fire-type pain going around nowadays, so Celebi's having a bit of a difficult time to keep up. We have Weavile, who I think is a very cool Pokemon, because it's an Ice-Dark type. I believe it's the first Ice-Dark type. Excuse me, Sneasel. But as we all know, if you guys ever watch my random battles from Gen 3, getting Sneasel is always infuriating because it would always have like Brick Break and Shadow Ball because it didn't have any stab. Well, those days are over. And now in Gen 4, they actually helped out Weavile and gave it like, I mean, it's not the strongest moves, but you know, Ice Shard, Night Slash, that kind of stuff, and it's very, very fast. It functions the way an Ice type should be intended to, but at the end of the day, you still have Stealth Rocks, which Bro is going to take 25% damage when he comes into, but still cool idea. Then we have another Serene Grace user. Man, they were all over this in Gen 4. They thought it was a really good idea. Basically, kind of functions the same way as Jirachi, but I guess the main difference is, well, this one's weak to rocks, and it's not immune to sand, so you're not really going to have a fun time. But it has Roost, so you can infuriate people like that. Air Slash, you know, it's the same thing. Although I think Iron Head's better because Air Slash has a 5% chance to miss. You know it's going to miss. Ludicolo. Ludicolo. Then you have Mamoswine, who actually another, I think, a pretty well-designed Ice-type Pokemon because it's Icing Ground. Icing Ground, very good because what stops ground is grass and flying, which Ice covers. So I thought that was pretty cool too. And once again, the special split helped out because Piloswine in Gen 3 would have Ice Beam and Earthquake all the time in random battles. And it's kind of like, oh, so basically I just have Earthquake. Okay, good to know. And then you have literally the greatest Pokemon of all time, Jolteon. And something that genuinely surprised me, and I don't mean this in a, you know, look, I'm just surprised that Jolteon is the most popular evolution. Like, I thought it would be like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not really sure. I thought maybe like Vaporeon or Umbreon, because with all the hazards and stuff, those two can at least kind of survive using Wish Cringe. But Jolteon is still ahead of the pack to my surprise. It is still insanely fast, but like now it just has more problems to deal with, like with rocks and stuff. Another huge thing is in Gen 3, Jolteon was like good. It was never like insanely good, but it was pretty good because the Choice Scarf did not exist yet. It does in Gen 4. If you do not know what the Choice Scarf is, it is an item that makes you lock into one of your moves for the rest of time. But in exchange, you get a 50% speed boost. So basically, if you have slightly more than, you know, what the 50% boost would give you from the Choice Scarf, if you have that number, if you have whatever that magical number is for Jolteon speed, where after you get the 50% speed boost, you're now faster than Jolteon. Well, Jolteon's out of a job, because why would you put a Choice Scarf on Jolteon? That's just overkill. Just put it on somebody with more special attack, like Zapdos, for example, if you want to take that route. Like, if you're going to use Jolteon and use it in a more offensive way, you should probably just use, like, Choice Specs, perhaps a Life Orb, something like that. But now Jolteon's extremely specific job is kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to be faster this turn. I don't know if they're scarfed or not, so that's kind of scary. But it is still OU. It's actually, we just saw when I was checking that thing a second ago, it is legitimately OU by technicality. Still don't know what that means. I don't know why Clefable's UU, but Jolteon is OU, parentheses, by technicality. Yes, that's what I like to see. Now moving on from 2.5 to 1% usage. We've got all these Pokemons, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't really seen any of these guys. If I've seen them, I've only seen them like once or twice or whatever. The most popular one in this group is Rhyperior. I actually have seen this Rock Polish. I think it was on the team with the bronze on that had the dual screens with gravity, so that you just switch into the Rhyperior, go for Rock Polish. The gravity's up. You hit Earthquake on everybody dies, you win, you're happy. Tentacruel has Rapid Spin, but you have a Pokemon called Starmie that's stealing your job. Raikou, sort of similar to Suicune, but once again, kind of, I'd say, falling behind in usage because of the deficiencies that it has, like it did in Gen 3. Now you have the introduction of Stealth Rocks to make your life even more interesting, we're going to say. And you have like another ground type right here, Mamoswine. Yeah, you've got more ground types now. You have to choose, oh, it didn't power ice or grass. Oh, I chose ice. Oh, they have a Swampert. Okay, GG's. Crobat, Stealth Rocks, Sand, not fun. Heracross, haven't seen that guy. I thought they would actually be a little bit higher. I would imagine a Choice Scarf would have been pretty solid. I guess I was wrong. Snorlax, it's all right, but, you know, Gen 3, bro, was... it was good, but it had to fight with Sand and Spikes. Now, once again, introducing Stealth Rocks. Kabutops, I guess, got buffed from Gen 3 in a way because of the physical special split. Bro could never really take advantage of its water-type moves, but now it has Waterfall, which is good for flinching the enemy and making them mad. Aqua Jet, of course, priority. So you would want to ideally slap this thing on with a Rain Team because it gets Swift Swim, but, I mean... I guess you could put it on a Sand Team. It is immune to that, and it actually gets a 50% special defense boost, so you could do that and think outside the box. Uxie, I've literally used Uxie on my UU team. It was my lead. It's sort of like Azelf minus the explosions. You know, Thunder Wave, U-Turn, Taunt, Stealth Rocks, that kind of stuff. Cresselia and Milotic are funny enough side by side in usage. I would imagine they basically do the same thing, which kind of goes to show that defense is nowhere near as powerful as it was in Gen 3, in my opinion. Which, I would say it's a pretty cool thing. I don't like playing till turn 200 all the time. Now, at this point in time, Dusknoir actually was tankier than Dusclops because the Eviolite did not exist. It had slightly more bulk and obviously a lot more attack power. So that's why you would use it. So where Dusclops was in Gen 3, they basically made it slightly better. So it's able... This is basically the usage percent you would see with Dusclops in Gen 3, which I guess makes sense considering the power creep. Nidoqueen, I'm not going to lie, this one really surprised me. Nidoqueen is actually an NU tiered Pokemon, very, very low, considering, or up against all these guys, very, very low, one of the lowest, technically one of the most underrated. And I would imagine it's because it's a poison ground type, so it's immune to sand. It can soak up the toxic spikes, and it learns toxic spikes itself, which I think is interesting. But what really surprised me is Nidoqueen is NU and Nidoking is UU, but Nidoking is nowhere on this list. I do not really know why. I'm sure somebody will have some kind of response as to why. Abomasnow. This guy, I like the idea. I do. It's just that, you know, Ice type, Stealth Rocks. It's basically kind of like an anti-meta thing, you know. Eliminate the enemy Tyranitar, set up permanent hail. Now their enemy team is now permanently getting hit by all this nonsense. But the problem is your team probably is taking a lot of damage too, unless you're running 6 ice types, which is probably not a very good idea. And just like how Gliscor Sandveil is banned, the Snowcloak is banned. So that is actually why Frostlass is basically banned, which I think is so goofy. Because Frostlass, it's not like a really busted Pokemon and, you know, you would use it as a lead, but technically, since its only ability is Snowcloak, we gotta get rid of that thing. It's a monster to society. You know who's not a monster to society? Electivire. Dusknoir was the better, you know, evolution to a previous Pokemon than Electabuzz turning into this guy. I thought this thing was going to be so cool when Gen 4 first came out and I saw the show and Paul had this Electivire in the game. It's not really that cash money. I guess it has motor drive, which is oddly specific. It's basically, it kind of reminds me of like, funny enough, the Infernape, which is, you know, the Pokemon that fights Electivire in the end of the anime. Infernape has a bunch of different attacking moves. It's very versatile. So is Electivire, but Infernape just does it a million times better. I actually have seen a Yanmega. The opponent led with one, and they were choice specs and had Air Slash. That was their game plan. Flinch David to death and make him mad. And it worked. Then there's Vaporeon, who, like I said, I thought would be a little bit higher, considering, you know, there's some water types up here. There was this water type group. You could have Water Absorb, you're tankier. I'm just surprised it's not, this isn't the most popular one instead of Jolteon. Smeargle, I'm sure, is a menace to society. You got another water absorb dude guy right here, Quagsire. Once again, kind of falling behind its big brother Swampert, you know? Oh, by the way, Magneton is right after Dusknoir. I just don't have a Magneton sprite here. Magneton has 10 more base speed over Magnezone. That's pretty much the only reason you would ever want to use it. It's pretty much worse than everything else. But if you needed to beat a certain few specific Pokemon, who I do not know who they would be, you would use Magneton. Speaking of unevolved Pokemon, look who's not here. Porygon 2. Oh no, so sad. But don't worry, it'll show up later on when they invent the Eviolite. But they had Porygon Z here, and Porygon Z seems to be about as popular as Porygon 2 was in Gen 3 when it was the new cool kid on the block. I thought it'd be a little bit higher. I guess I was wrong. Then you have Umbreon, who I've already talked about. Very hard to kill. And then you have poor Charizard. Bro did not like the Stealth Rock introduction. You switch this thing in, you lose half your health. Dear God. Rotom, I haven't even really seen this thing, like, at all. Like, it's a huge gap between Heat and Wash. I guess, you know, you really need your Leaf Storms, that's who you go to. Arcanine, once again, Sand, Rocks. Like, Fire types kind of got wrecked. You know what I mean? Like, Rotom Heat, for example, is not weak to Rocks. Heatran, not weak to Rocks. Infernape, not weak to Rocks. Are you seeing a pattern here? Fire types, they had some problems in this generation. I actually used for Alligator and UU. I really liked it. It was one of my favorite Pokemons. I'm surprised it even saw any usage in OU. I guess it's just that much of a Chad. This guy gets Dragonance and Waterfall. So wait a second. In the beginning, I was saying, why is Gyarados so good? But I like for Alligator a lot in UU, and Gyarados does the same thing. It has Dragonance and Waterfall. I'm getting some pretty pretty evil, nefarious ideas in my head right now. Gallade. I think that guy gets Swords Dance and like Shadow Sneak and Bullet Punch. I don't know if that's actually how you would ideally use it, but I think he learns that. And then Staraptor, who I think is actually a really good Pokemon. Not really good. I mean, really cool Pokemon. It was like one of the first like actually like competitively viable Route 1 Pokemons, in my opinion. You give this thing a choice band or a scarf, whatever, life orb, something like that. Bro's got double edge, the U-turns, the brave birds, the close combats. I just say that because when I played Pokemon Battle Revolution, I had a Staraptor, and it was great. I actually also had a Gallade. It was great. It had Leaf Blade. Do not try Leaf Blade in singles, guys. And now we have reached the final level of 1 to 0.75%. There's a lot more Pokemans in Gen 4 than 3. That's just math, in case you didn't know. Sceptile, I don't know. Rotom, Ice, Refrigerator Man. I mean, you're not weak to rocks because you're Electric Ghost, but then you've got to rely on Blizzard. I guess that's the idea. You would need to put it on a Hail team, but then you don't actually have Stab Blizzard, but you don't miss, so I guess that's cool. I don't know. I don't know. Shaman, for the longest time, I thought Shaman was like overpowered. I'm like, why is it all the way down here? And then I discovered it's because I was thinking of Shaman Sky, because Shaman Sky is banned to Ubers because that Pokemon also has Serene Grace. That's a really cool ability, man. And then you have Alakazam before Bro got Magic Guard in Gen 5. They wanted to copy Clefable. They thought that they were pretty overpowered. Entei still has been the weakest legendary beast. It's sad. I would say Entei is my favorite, and look at him all the way down here. But don't worry, they have that one Choice Banded Extreme Speed one. I think it has to be a shiny Pokemon or something weird like that. Honchkrow, I don't know, Sucker Punch, I guess. And then you have Claydol, which is a pretty poetic way to end this list because Claydol is like arguably around top 10 in Gen 3, you know, because it's immune to spikes, sand, it's a rapid spinner, and look at Bro all the way down here. I don't even really know why it's all the way down here, because you're still immune to sand, you're immune to spikes, you're immune to toxic spikes, you're resistant to stealth rocks, you have rapid spin. I don't really know why this is the case. Yeah, no idea why. So to summarize, the main takeaway seemed to be Tyranitar is still the GOAT. In order to ban Jirachi, we're going to need a lot more hatred because it's actually a big gap in usage between this and the GOAT. Gyarados, I'm kind of surprised, but it's one of the best setup sweepers in the game now. Heatran, thank you so much for killing off that one Pokemon that I shall not name in this video. Scizzor's cool. Breloom started a really, really nasty trend coming up in the future. So did Clefable. Oh, man. Thank God Arbok wasn't here.